Anyway, podcast back for a Monday episode. It is a Epstein Diddy spectacular coming up on this show here. Lots to get into on the day's events. Diddy in court, so much to go over. We learned a little bit about what Virginia Giuffre was going through prior to her unfortunate passing. And is Virginia Giuffre featured on some of these Epstein FBI tapes that we've started hearing about again recently in the news? Of course, you know, if you stuck with this podcast, we talked about this years ago. Go look at our Ghislaine Maxwell Jeffrey Epstein playlist on our YouTube channel, links at anthonyonair.com. You can go through the whole entire thing. Nobody has covered that more than we have. And we're back again with another update. Plus, so much more, as you can see from our rundown here. The Pharma executive order from today, Madonna on Netflix. And maybe we'll sneak in another little thing or two here or there. Who knows what's going to happen? It's a podcast, my friends. All right, let's kick it off with some of the Epstein stuff first. We'll go with Virginia Giuffre. First of all, thank God O'Keefe Media didn't put anything out there today. That's good. That's a good sign for everybody. But Virginia Giuffre still, by the way, do not have a cause of death. Still don't have any sort of explanation. Still don't have any sort of, this is what we believe happened. We've heard pills, but that's about it. And there's a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to this. But we're going to answer a couple of questions telling you what we know so far. Virginia Giuffre was depressed leading into her taking her own life. Not a big surprise there, right? Lots of people are. But what we learned was there was a lawsuit between another Epstein victim and herself, and we've discussed her before, Rena O. Giuffre was being sued by Rena for falsely describing her as a girlfriend of Epstein and one of the convicted sex offenders' recruiters. It was a $7.5 million lawsuit, 7.5 million euros, that will now go to Miss Giuffre's estate following her passing on April 25th. But it is believed that she was utterly depressed over the fact that Rena O had brought this lawsuit. Of course, if you remember, the number that we think Prince Andrew settled with her is around $12 million. So for 7.5 to come along, that's pretty much a large chunk of what she got based off of the Prince Andrew settlement. And now she was in a position to lose it. Plus, on top of that, her marriage was falling apart, right? So lots of things kind of coming together here, which look a little bleak for her. Not to mention that she had some health issues. Mentioned was it her liver or a kidney? I forget which one it was that she said was failing when she made that initial post with all the bruises on it from the car accident from a few weeks back. You remember all that craziness. But all that rolled up into one, obviously a bit too much for her to bear at the time. And she unfortunately, allegedly, took her own life. So we are again waiting with bated breath here from the authorities in Australia, which is where she was at the time of her passing, to find out exactly what happened and what the story is. And of course, the second we have that, we're going to let you know. What's interesting about all of this is the second part of this story, which is there might be footage of her and Prince Andrew together. Now, in the most comic setup of all time, Prince Andrew did that horrific BBC interview, remember? And he was like, I don't even know if we met her. And they were like, there's a photo. Here's the photo. And it just utterly blew up in his face. And that was like the last straw of what had the Queen finally was like, you got to go away. Don't do any more interviews. You got to be gone. No more Prince Andrew in the public eye. So that interview was one thing, but it was just that photograph basically that made him look like such a huge idiot. And now we might have actual footage of it. The story is just basically everywhere. Lots of outlets reporting. And this has sort of exploded since Pam Bondi talked about that the reason why the Trump administration hasn't put out any of these files just yet is because they're sitting there with thousands of videos and The FBI is pouring over it and they have to protect the victims. And that's why it's going to take so long. Okay. Well, now sources, okay, close to this investigation, which we haven't had many leaks on these things. And it's kind of interesting timing that it's happening now, are saying that there is footage of Virginia Giuffre with not only Prince Andrew, but with other people, which is insane to me. I don't know what that does for the Virginia Giuffre estate if she can prove without a shadow of a doubt that there was actual hardcore footage and evidence, right? Because she said she filed civil lawsuits against Andrew. And it is astonishing to me that a country could be in possession of something like this for years and never disclose or confirm or come to the aid of or help and assist one of its citizens with this exact thing. Imagine fighting in court and suing in civil lawsuits, and there's footage, evidence, irrefutable evidence sitting in a warehouse somewhere. I mean, how is that happening? How is that possible? How is that allowed to happen? Virginia Giuffre talked about it. Lots of victims talked about it. We know for certain. You can go back. We specifically did an episode entirely on the Epstein tapes. They were confiscated from his home, not only in Florida, but in New York. New York was the big get. There was lots of footage there. They believe that entire house was wired. Almost every room had video surveillance, right? There was just tapes and hard drives and all this stuff. And the FBI left it. It went missing. And then it magically appeared back at FBI headquarters, right? So even though lots of people are excited and you got half-wit fuckface assholes like this O'Keefe dickhead breathing heavy going, I'm not worried about this, guys. People are going to come get me because he's got to make literally a global tragedy this asshole has to make about himself. These fucking people, I can't stand them anymore. You have these tapes go missing. Even if we get them, whoever it was behind all of this, whatever when those tapes went missing, those tapes of that person never came back. And the fact that the FBI just left mounds, literally the world's most historic sex trafficking ring, finally comes down and they are gathering the footage and they didn't leave anybody to make sure nobody touched it. Nobody. Not even like the new intern kid. Not even an intern. Just say, hey, don't let anybody touch this. Nobody. And the tapes just 2 hours. They were gone. 2 hours. In those 2 hours, somebody went in there and got whatever tape they needed and got it out. And that was the end of it. So listen, I think we'll see some of this stuff eventually, someday, one day. I'm kind of with Frankie C now. I don't know if we're ever going to get the full story of all the documents and everything else. But what I feel in my heart of hearts is there's stuff missing and we'll never see that because it was gone for 2 hours. For 2 hours. Oh, I don't know. I don't know where it was. Could you imagine? I mean, honestly, could you imagine just going, yeah, it's New York City. We'll just, leave him over there. It's fine. Should we put a patrolman on it? Nah. You know, with the FBI, we have pretty substantial power. Can we go and have somebody? No. We don't need to coordinate any local law enforcement or anything like that. He'll be fine. It's just going to be fine. Okay. But now this source, whoever it is, says that there's definite footage of Virginia Giuffre and Prince Andrew in there. Allegedly. This is what the source is saying. We'll see. We'll see what else comes up. And Virginia, not only with Prince Andrew, but it was described as her with other Epstein associates. Who are those people? I'm not quite sure. You got to be shitting yourself if you're Prince Andrew. I'm sorry. If he's found on that footage, I don't care country, statute of limitation. If he is seen in video with an underage girl, he should be in prison. Period. End of subject. I don't give a shit if he's a prince of a country or what. And I know there's all going to be all sorts of technicalities and legalities and royal families and, can they do it? If you have it, you should prison. Every last one of those people need to go to prison. But we'll wait for O'Keefe. We'll wait for O'Keefe Media to save the day for sure. But I will say this too. Again, we've been talking about the Epstein tapes, like I said, for years. Just years. We've been talking about this for. If we're at the point now where there are sources close to people that are starting to squeal things to the media, it does give me a little hope that we might be getting close to an actual release of something, of just something. Because it doesn't get to that point until once you start to get like 10, 20, and 30 people involved, then people are going to just start leaking stuff. So if there really is a wing of the FBI office and they're all going through this stuff, and somebody's starting to talk a little bit about it, it's going to get out there. It's going to find its way out there. And it's probably going to be TMZ to get it first. Could you imagine being in the FBI and having to go through all? Could you imagine getting the Epstein assignment? Oh, what are we doing today, Charlie? Oh, yeah. You sit in front of this TV here and watch 12 hours of footage of the world's most insanely protected sex trafficker. Let us know what you find. Oh, God, that's a rough day. That is a rough day. What? Yeah, right? Could you imagine going to lunch? Like taking a break? I wouldn't be able to eat. I'd have to quit. I couldn't watch that shit. That's fucking brutal. That's the kind of thing where you kind of hope, like, can we put this through AI and let AI kind of tell us what it is without us having to actually look at it? But I'm telling you, you can't just have shit disappear for 2 hours and expect that it's all going to come back. It ain't. Somebody went in there and took what they needed to. What was that great movie with it was Spike Lee? I almost said Spike Jones. Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, and what's her name? Foster there. Thank you, Jodie Foster. So, Inside Man. Inside Man. Spoiler alert. Let me put the spoiler alert out. Watch Inside Man. It's so fucking good. It is so fucking good. Inside Man. I'm going to give it a light spoiler, not a full spoiler. Inside Man, basically, somebody goes and robs a bank in New York City. And I'm going to ruin it for you if I tell you this. All right, well, I gave you the spoiler alert, so you can mute it. Somebody goes to rob a bank in New York City, and basically what winds up happening is Jodie Foster gets called in and is one of these fixers. And she uses her connections with the mayor to basically get into this ongoing hostage situation because these people are in the bank and they're holding people hostage. It's bank down in Wall Street, right? And, are they there to steal millions of dollars and do all that? People are, basically the brilliance of this movie is they weren't there to steal money from the bank. They were there to get something from one of the wealthiest men who had something in that bank. I think he was like protecting the fact that he was a Nazi or something like that, from what I remember. And basically all they wanted was to go in there and get that piece of paper so they could blackmail him and then he can basically pay them the money. It's kind of brilliant. But Jodie Foster's character goes in there, is hired to go in there and be like, hey, you're here for so-and-so's money. My client has something in there. Let me just get it out. Let me just walk out with that. And that's basically the thing. And I feel like this is the same exact thing. There's some fucking high profile, $20 million fixer that, okay, yeah, I can make some phone calls and go in there and get the tape. Sure, no problem. Just make sure that they leave it for 2 hours so that nobody sees me coming, that kind of deal. So I definitely think that happened. I definitely think that's why I think no matter what, we'll never know. There's one person, man. And you know what? Probably over the course of time, there was multiple people, but I would say throughout the 80s and 90s and 2000s, there was one person who was just pulling all those strings and we're just never going to know who that person is. We'll find out about the Prince Andrews. We'll find out if Trump is involved more than he says. Although it would be pretty damn interesting if his own administration put out that stuff. I don't think we're going to get that. Maybe he was the guy. Somebody was alluding to that in the chat just a moment ago. Maybe he was the guy who went in there and got his stuff out. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it was the Clintons. Who knows? Somebody did it. And you will never convince me otherwise. Never, ever, ever. That's why I said we need some independent. We need some independent organizations to come in here and do that. By the way, if we do get a Prince Andrew footage of a royal family, it's all. See, the thing right now is it's all deniable. Lawsuits, civil suits, settlements, NDAs. It is all still in that wonderful little legal gray area that we have to say allegedly, and we have to tell you it was just a settled lawsuit and all that stuff. We actually get footage of it. That's a new ball game. Everything changes. Everything changes. And if the royal family thinks they have a lot to deal with Meghan Markle right now, just wait until they have to deal with the footage of Prince Andrew. That's going to be really bad. It might be so bad that the royal family goes, you should watch Meghan Markle's show. They might use her to distract them. Like, let's see, watch this train wreck. You think Andrew's bad? Watch this idiot put sprinkles on a fucking blueberry. Diddy. Let's keep focused, people. Don't distract me. Don't put me on Meghan watch. I'll forget it. It'll be endless. We will never get out of here. We'll never get out of here. All right, Diddy. I took a lot of notes. Day one of the trial. His daughters were there. He had a lot of family in court that day. Opening statements. During opening statements, Diddy's lawyer, Tenny Garagos. I promise by the end of this trial in 2 months, I'll get a pronunciation guide on that one. Tenny Garagos. Tenny, Teny. Have you ever heard of that name before? Tenny. I went to college with somebody named Eleveny, but not Tenny. That's a new one for me. Okay. Niner. Did I catch a niner in there? Stop it. Anyway, the opening statement, and this is great. I'm sure every lawyer dreams about graduating from law school so they could be in a courtroom and say these words, quote, "You may know of his love of baby oil. Is that a federal crime? No. So the guy's got a couple thousand bottles of baby oil. Don't make him a bad person. I mean, come on. Come on. Sorry, I got distracted by this comment from Paul. Imagine what Ant's safe deposit box must have. So fucking little tumbleweed. There's nothing in there. I don't know where the key is. Shit. I don't even know. Probably a fucking, I don't even know. Probably a takeout menu from 1997, maybe. An old useless chain, some sort. Bad watch. I would love to find some. Imagine if you go in your safe deposit box that has nothing, and then all of a sudden you just find a ton of money. Somebody just put a ton of money in there. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, of course, the Fed seized 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and this guy came out and said, "Is that a federal crime?" No, he has a love of baby oil. Just big baby oil fan, huge baby oil fan. Just likes to buy the bottles. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just big baby oil guy. Needs to hydrate. What is baby oil? I mean, it's hydrates the skin. Is that what it does? Basically, if you're not using it for this sick fucks purposes, I don't even know if we ever used baby oil with our kids. I feel like my kids had every friggin' allergy. We had to buy whatever it was. We had to buy the more expensive, harder to find version. It was like, can you kids have formula? No, they need the fucking non-agita, burp free, extremely, silky smooth unicorn. I think they drew it from unicorn's blood. They made for what I fucking paid for that shit. I don't remember what it was. I just remember paying out the ass for stuff. I remember looking at people complaining about how expensive formula was and looking at the double the price thing that I was buying, going, the fuck's going on here? Anyway, it's not about me. The guard at the LA hotel where Diddy beat the ever-loving crap out of that poor young lady, Cassie, took the stand. Israel Flores, he's a security at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. He was the prosecution's first witness. He testified about the incident that was eventually caught on video. Interesting exchange here. Basically, there was a back and forth where like it was like Diddy gave him a bunch of money, and the defense tried to blame it on the fact that he broke a vase. The defense was like, "So you paid him? He paid you money, but you did say you owed him for the vase, right?" And then so the prosecution came back on, and they were like, "Just to clarify, he basically said, don't let this get out, right?" And the Israel Flores was like, "Yeah, that's basically what he said." He's all right. So they clarified what that stack of hundreds was. When Diddy, I think the phrase was, quote, "Don't tell anyone," as Diddy gave him the money. And so basically the defense there had to go on with, well, just because he's a woman beater doesn't mean that he's an international sex trafficker. Again, that's a tough defense. If that's your defense, that's a little tough. Standing next to a pallet full of baby oil. I mean, none of this looks good. None of this looks good. That footage, by the way, from 2016 of Cassie and him in the hotel there. Cassie's husband was also there ahead of her testimony. Let me see here. The Fed's second witness was Daniel Phillip, a male escort who testified he was paid to have sex with R&B singer Cassie while her then boyfriend Sean Diddy Combs watched. Phillip described cuck chair. We should have a cuck warning. Should we do just because we have a spoiler alert, should we make a cuck warning? Is that something we need to do, you think? All right. We'll work on that. Maybe we'll get a whole... I'd like to get a cuck warning up on the screen. Hold on, people. Don't beat me up. We'll pause the podcast here. Cuck warning or cuck alert? I think cuck alert. Cuck alert. Cuck alert. All right. There we go. We got the cuck alert. Now we know whenever we know that a cuck chair is present, such as paying an escort to have sex with your girlfriend. We'll get the cuck alert on the screen here so everybody knows. Watch out, people. There's some cucking going on. This is a cuck episode. You're right. We'll have to make a whole new cuck playlist, basically. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, Phillip described the sexual encounter that took place in a room at the Gramercy Park Hotel in Manhattan sometimes in 2012. Cassandra Cassie Ventura handed him a few $1,000s to rub baby oil on her and give her a massage before the two had sex while Combs pleasured himself, Phillip told the jury. This had to be a tough courtroom to be in. By the way, his kids were there. Although there's reports that his daughters left the courtroom before the male escort testified. I guess they got the Diddy daughters got a cuck alert. Hey, this is very cucky. This next portion is going to be cucky. You might want to go hit the vending machines out in the lobby. Isn't that what you do with kids? Just here's $1. Go get some chips. Go get some Doritos or something. You're not going to want to hear this. You're not going to want to hear about what your dad's favorite cuck chair is. Phillip testified that during the sex sessions with Cassie, Diddy would tell them to use more baby oil. He would say, "Y'all need to rub more baby oil on each other. You don't have enough on." Phillips recalled Combs telling him during the encounters with Cassie that took place at the hotel in Manhattan. Diddy used a camcorder and a cell phone to record one or two of the sexual encounters between Cassie and the male escort. The escort said Combs also asked for his driver's license and took a photo of it. "He took my driver's license and took a picture of it," says the quote. He said it was just for insurance, just in case. But Phillip said based on Combs' demeanor, he understood it as the music mogul threatening him. Phillip told jurors he was paid as much as $6,000 for the sessions with Cassie Ventura while Combs watched. Phillip said he got between $700 and upwards of $5,000 or $6,000 every time he and Cassie engaged in a sex marathon that could last up to 10 hours. Fucking 10. What? And if he couldn't perform properly, sometimes he wasn't paid anything. 10 hours? 10 hours? This isn't an appropriate time for jokes, but I mean, I have a penchant for honesty. I have trouble hitting that 10-minute mark if we're going to be honest with each other. Let alone the fact that's by the way, when I'm with the woman I've chosen to spend the rest of my life with, who I love more than anything. Turns me on more than anything. There's no performance anxiety there. Could you imagine you just had a hard day and I just say, here, more baby oil, you son of a bitch. Let's go. We got 9 more hours to go. Could you fucking imagine? 10 hours? What? How is that even possible? You don't get paid if you can't perform too. That's pretty tough. Daniel Phillip testified about being present when Diddy beat up Cassie Ventura just because she told Diddy to hold on after he called her over. Phillip said that Diddy chucked a bottle toward Cassie and then grabbed her by the hair and started dragging her into the bedroom. Combs flew off the handle after Cassie told him, hold on. According to Phillip, saying, quote, Mr. Combs was basically saying, bitch, when I tell you to come here, you come no later. Jesus. Perhaps she was just trying to walk slow because of all the baby oil on the floor. Okay, safety first. This guy's a real piece of shit. How do you win after this? Fucking day one, I'd be like, holy shit. It's time to fucking plead it. I mean, it's a the settlement thing, but so that's brutal. His kids left, like I said. I think his mom left too, as they were going through. Daniel Phillip went on to testify one time during a sex session that with Cassie at the Jeremiah Essex House Hotel, he heard Diddy beating his singer girlfriend in another room. After having sex with Ventura, Phillip said he went to the bedroom with Combs while the other sex worker was in the living room. Out of nowhere, I could hear Cassie yelling, I'm sorry. And then I could hear again that someone was being slapped around and slammed around the room. Ugh. I have a hard time hearing that. Could you imagine being in the next room and you don't do anything about it? That's fucking brutal. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. That's too much to endure. It's one thing to shut it all out of your brain, but it's another thing. Sorry, I didn't realize the cuck warning. I mean, I guess we're still in the male testimony here, so I guess we can keep it up, but let's put Diddy back up there for the time being now that we've established the cuck warning. The Emily Johnson, the prosecutor, said during opening statements this morning that Diddy paid $100,000 to bury the now infamous film of him assaulting Cassie at the Los Angeles hotel. Combs slipped the cash into a hotel security guard to keep the sickening 2016 footage hush-hush. It was ultimately obtained and published by CNN last year and shown to jurors at the trial today. Daniel Phillip, the male escort, also testified that he believed Cassie Ventura was in real danger and told her to leave Diddy after witnessing the music mogul rough her up twice. Phillip recounted, quote, I asked her why she was staying with this guy if he was hitting her and beating her like this. I tried to explain to her that she's in real danger if she stays with him. Phillip told the jury that he never went to police over his concerns because he was scared of the Bad Boy Records founder, who took a photo of his driver's license that he perceived as a threat. Phillip said, this is someone with unlimited power, and chances are that even if I did go to the police, I still might be losing my life. You know, you think about that kind of stuff and you go, how could you not say anything? Like I just said, you can't be in the other room. But, I get what this guy is saying. You're talking just the other thing that they were saying in court too on Friday also, that he was just making eye contact with people and he wasn't breaking eye contact at all until they looked away. That's a fucking power asshole move. This guy is there's no doubt in my mind he did all of these things, because that you can do that kind of shit, to people when you're on trial for this kind of stuff. Like he had that little stumble when he was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom 90 minutes in. There was a little bit of weakness there, but I think he's basically regained himself. He wanted people to call him king and shit like that. They made a big stink out of that in court today, basically talking about it being like a title in a a criminal ring, a criminal enterprise, Um, and like I said, his kids and his mom walked out in the middle. That's tough. That's some tough shit to sit through. Imagine hearing that stuff about your father. And he's doing all these things. Imagine turning on your favorite podcast and there's a cuck warning. There's a cuck alert on the screen because they're talking about your dad. That stuff. That can't be easy. Don't have a piece of shit father, though. That's the thing. That is the thing. Well, Busby Flying Wise says, I heard Jay-Z is involved as well. It'll be interesting to see who gets called for all this kind of stuff. If they wind up calling people at these parties and celebrities, if they start to, do all that kind of stuff. There's more here. We can go into some sicker stuff, but let's just move right along. This is true what Paul is saying. So if you're listening and just watching, you missed it. Go to 30 minutes in and check out the screen to see what Paul had on the screen there. I believe that was pretty much true as well. Let's see here. Where do we want to go next? President Trump signed an executive order today regarding the price of drugs. Right? The big taking on big pharma there. He signed an executive order asking companies to lower the prices of drugs. This was the big story from today. If you didn't see it, it's a 30-day deadline for drug makers to electively lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S. or face new limits down the road over what the government will pay. The order calls on the health department, led by RFK Jr., to broker new price tags for drugs over the next month. If deals are not reached, Kennedy will be tasked, with developing a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid for by other countries. Trump said during a press conference earlier today, we're going to equalize. We're going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe pays. It's unclear what, if any, impact the Republican president's executive order will have on millions of Americans who have private health insurance. The federal government has the most power to shape the price it pays for drugs covered by Medicare and Medicaid. Trump's promised new but uncertain savings on drug prices just hours after the Republican-led House released its new plan to trim $880 billion from Medicaid. Taxpayers spend hundreds of billions of dollars on prescription drugs, injectables, transfusions, and other medications every year through Medicare, which covers nearly 70 million older Americans, Medicaid, which provides nearly free health care for almost 80 million poor and disabled people in the United States of America, also spends tens of billions of dollars each year for drugs. Top U.S. drug makers have responded. No surprise here. The nation's pharmaceutical lobbies, which represent the top U.S. drug makers, immediately pushed back against this executive order, calling it a bad deal for American patients. Drug makers have long argued that any threats to their profits could impact the research that they do to develop new drugs. Stephen J. Ubi, the president and CEO of Pharma, spelled Phrma. They left out an A, but they're trying to be cutesy. Anyway, this guy said importing foreign prices from socialist countries would be a bad deal for American patients and workers. It would mean less treatments and cures, would also jeopardize hundreds of billions of our member companies that are planning to invest in America. Basically, what the pharmaceutical companies are saying is kind of like what the music business says. It's like, hey, the reason why we screw lots of artists out of their money is because it takes us a lot of times, a lot of failures to basically finally get an artist that hits. So we screw the artists that hits big because we got to recoup all the artists that we tried before them that didn't make it. Pharmaceutical companies are saying the same thing. Hey, it takes a lot of research and development and trials to get these medications going. And so we have to make money. We have to charge people more who can pay more in order to make that stuff work. But meanwhile, they do take the same drugs and they sell it for far less to other countries. It's a huge ripoff and has been for quite some time. If you're a fan of Bernie Sanders, this is one of the things that you love about him that now President Trump is trying to bring to fruition. Does this executive order do the trick? I don't know. We've seen a lot of executive orders from this president. You know, like I talked about the one the other day with Ticketmaster, where he's asking, he's trying to get ticket. The laws are already on the books for Ticketmaster to not overcharge people. He wrote an executive order the other day. Is it going to make a difference? I don't know. So a lot of these executive orders really don't do anything other than look fancy on television. Can he do it with this one? We'll see. You know, we'll see. If he pulls this off, will it be a huge win? It will. It will be tainted if the Medicare and Medicaid situation gets blundered by Congress and what they're trying to pull off over there. It'll definitely have a sour note put to it. But if no cuts occur there, and he's able to do this and lower prices, it's going to be a huge feather in his cap. A massive, massive feather in his cap, because no other president has been able to do that, because Congress essentially has been bought and sold. RFK said today that there is a lobbyist, and sometimes 2 or 3 for every member of Congress, House and Senate. These people spend a lot of money. By the way, I come from media, and I know this to be a fact. Look at your television shows, look at your radio stations, right? A huge percentage of advertising dollars these days comes from pharmaceutical companies. They are just spending and spending and spending to convince you that you need them and they are good, right? And it's true. They do charge us way more because we are a rich nation who they believe can afford it. But the fact of the matter is, and again, if you're a fan of Bernie Sanders, you know this to be true, there have been record profits in the pharmaceutical industry for decades. Decades. Every decade, they make more money than they did the decade before, and they have not broken that streak for a really long time. Is that really necessary? Is it? Because I understand you want to do your clinical trials, and it costs a lot to bring a pharmaceutical to market, and some pharmaceuticals don't do what they intend to do and they fail, and then you spend a lot of money to find out ultimately this doesn't work. I understand all of that. But at the same time, a lot of these executives and CEOs have 2 vacation homes, yachts, 3 and 4 boats. Make your money. It's America. I believe in profits. Believe you should be paid what you're worth, but just lobbying your way to record profits while you're fucking people over and they're dying. I mean, it's not like you're just making a shitty refrigerator and you got to buy a new one, which is a horrible thing, by the way. Let's not discount that. Like, it's really bad when you buy a refrigerator and you can't even get 8 years out of it before you got to buy another one. I know these tragedies happen to me. I lost my refrigerator and my oven within a year of each other. It's been a hard year. But that's one thing. We're talking about lives, not appliances. It'd be one thing if you go, oh, GE's fucking us over because they're giving us shitty stuff we got to buy again in 8 years. Okay, that's one thing, as they're making record profits. But to have people being dead because of it, it's insane. It's insane. What is this, Bird? Are you paying $4,000 a month for one medication? That sounds like a lot. Although, when you think about it, to Robin's point, that's like only 3 days in Disney, $4,000. So how much is it all really? Bless his heart. He's the most generous pal we have. Fly and White has gifted another AOA membership. Click the link in the description below. Maybe you will be the person who gets it. And if you don't, join for as low as $2.99. How could you get there at $2.99 and go, let me give my old pal Aunt and Frankie C $2.99 a month. They're worth it. Our wives argue that we're being overpaid for that $2.99 a month. But I believe our moms would say we're worth it. Depends on who you ask, I guess. So that's the big pharma executive order. Let's see what happens. It's one. Listen, I could criticize this administration. I think I've been more than fair with them the first 100 days. I think you've seen me become a little bit more critical now that we're past those 100 days. It's just been far too long with Doge not really producing the results that we were promised. Not that I believed it from day one, but I'm just saying, you try and be optimistic, you try and be supportive, you know. But this would be big. If he does get this to happen, it would be big. And he does have been had a lot of family around the last couple of days. But let's see where we are in a year. Let's see where we are come January. You know, all this tariff garbage and all. Everybody thinks that this guy could have handled things a lot better. But let's see. Are we going to be better off in a year from now? Because that's really all he has. He's got until January, February, March, April, May, maybe a year from now before those midterm elections really start heating up. And then everything is just going to lock down into nothingness. It's going to go back to the same old Washington, D.C. gridlock. You know what I mean? So we'll see what he could accomplish in this time that he's got right now, because this is really it. You get 4 years, but really you have like a maybe 2. You get this year and a half before midterms, and then if midterms go well, you might get some more time, you know. But he is a lame duck, unless Steve Bannon has something to say about it. So we'll have to wait and see. What's it going to do to insurance companies? What's it going to do to pharmaceuticals? You know, I don't know. I don't know these companies to just go, oh, okay, we'll just make less money. They always find some way to fucking finagle out of it or sue their way out of it or whatever it is. So we'll wait and see. I think it looks good for him. It's a strong PR move, right? You know, and then he goes, well, I tried it and Congress failed. That's always a good move for the president to go, I tried to do it, but Congress is a pack of fuck-ups over there. But we'll see. This might be the funniest comment of the whole entire episode. Flying Y is the Musk of AOA. He really is. You are Flying Y. You are the Elon Musk of this podcast. I mean, I don't think you dance like a weirdo, but I don't know if I've ever seen you dance. I'd like to think nobody could dance quite like Elon. I feel like they broke the mold when they made him. You know, that's a once in a lifetime kind of a dancing thing there. Oh my God, we're almost done with the episode. Holy cow, we flew through this one. Pat yourselves on the back, everybody. We made it. I didn't think I was going to catch that cough on the cough button there, but I think we made it happen. If you want me to stretch, I could do an hour on Meghan Markle. If you guys are up for it. I always got one in the chamber for Meghan. I'm always ready to fire an ant ran out for her. Madonna might be coming to Netflix. How's about this? So Madonna had a biopic in the works, as I think everybody did. I think I actually did too for a little while there. They were just kind of handing them out. But that biopic has been scrapped. I think 2023 Deadline reported that that's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to have which I feel like we need a full. By the way, Madonna is so rich for content. You can make a limited series. It should be the way. I don't know if you noticed this. For a little while there was a documentary, then there was a biopic, and then there was like a sensational version of it. And then in some cases, like with OJ, they were like, we'll do everything. We'll do biopics, we'll do movies, we'll do limited series. Like the OJ thing has just been done for a million times. The OJ content is so out of control that they're releasing documentaries like this. Here's another OJ documentary, but this time from a left-handed director. And you're like, I don't know exactly how that's different. And they're like, no, trust us. This guy writes left-handed. All the other documentaries you've ever seen were made by right-handed directors. This guy writes everything with his left hand. So you're like, I guess maybe they'll have something new. I don't know. I'll watch it. A friend of mine said to me, I watched like the 5th O.J. Simpson documentary. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to learn anything new, but I can't turn it down. I'm like, you're hooked. You have a drug problem. You have an O.J. Simpson drug problem. You know? Bless your heart, Misfit. You want me to stretch. I love that. Where was I going with this? Oh, anyway, so it looks like Madonna's going to take her life story to Netflix in a limited series that is in early development. Julia Garner, who is attached to star in the feature film, could still play Madonna in the limited series, which is being executive produced by the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, Sean Levy. And also Madonna herself. I don't like it when the artist is in it, But I feel like Madonna might give it a fair. Like, I don't know how much Madonna is holding on to. She's pretty out there and open. She talks about a lot of shit. So yeah, I could see her wanting to go all the way. We've lost a lot of great that Frank Sinatra biopic because the family wouldn't sign off on it. That was devastating. I felt like that was going to be a really good one. They had, believe it or not, Leo set to do that. Leo and Scorsese were close to a Sinatra biopic at one point, but the family would not give them what they needed because they were going to cover his affairs and stuff like that. And I guess they just didn't want that stuff out there. Madonna said at the time that the Universal, the biopic was being discussed, I want to convey the incredible journey that life has taken me on as an artist, a musician, a dancer, a human being trying to make her way in this world. The focus of this film will always be music. Music has kept me going, and art has kept me alive. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on this in development right now, not in production, in development over there at Netflix. We could get a Madonna biopic. She's one of the great artists of all time, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020. She's just amazing. You put her up there. Cher did it first, really, right? All that stuff with the acting and the singing and the was Cher on Broadway? I feel like Madonna was, but you go through all that stuff. But I don't know. Cher did the variety show with Sunny, so maybe there's a little bit more to her there. But I don't know. I feel like Madonna was just a bigger mega star. No fault from Cher. I just think the world wasn't there yet. Cher was huge at the time, but it wasn't as huge. Everybody as you go, people get bigger, right? Everything just gets, salaries get bigger, tours get bigger. The best was Sinatra and Ava Gardner getting drunk in Palm Springs. Man, if there was one time I could go to, I would be hanging in Palm Springs when Sinatra and all the big celebs just had houses there. They would just go there to chill out and hang out, party without the paparazzi being around. Those are good times. Those are really, really good times. We've seen everything about Madonna. No, she's done a bio. Has there been a biopic on Madonna already? Not that I'm aware of. Christella thinks OJ did it. Bird was going to play World on a String. I got the world on a string. Sunday listening to Frank Sinatra is instant relaxation. You could ask Huddles. I like to put on jazz. I like to put on Old Blue Eyes. Maybe a little Tony Bennett, a little Charlie Parker, that kind of shit on a Sunday. Oh my God. Magical. Just magical. Instant relaxation. How do we get on Wayne's World? Did I miss something? Under the Wayne's World 2 is my favorite. That and X of a movie. The second one was better for me. Wayne's World 2 was good. I like Wayne's World 2. We need a Wayne's World 3. I would love Wayne's World in a retirement home. Just him and Garth drooling all over each other. You got my 1250. I'll tell you that right now. Fucking, if they go with Wayne's World 3, the retirement years, I'll just be all over it. They're hosting a podcast nowadays on Medicare. I think it would be great. I don't even think we need to bring in Aaron C to write this. I think I can do it. That's how much this would just write itself. You don't need a talented writer to pen this one. I could even do it. All right, the Mets just won. That's good. Yeah, I think we covered it all. We don't need to stretch to an hour. We did it. We've done a bunch of 2-hour episodes, I feel. I think we've got some in the bank. But appreciations to Fly and Y for throwing that guest membership out there. They tend to go quickly, so you probably missed it if you're getting to it just now or if you're on a replay. But give it a shot. Like I said, if you're there, just plunk down the $2.99 a month. Help us pay for the podcast stuff and the website and all that other jazz so we can keep this podcast going for years and years and years to come. I mean, who's going to be there to cover the 14th Diddy trial? You know what I'm saying? Only us. Only us. All right, we're out back on Wednesday. We'll have more from the Diddy trial. Of course, we'll be following these Epstein tapes and all that jazz. Should Meghan Markle sneeze the wrong way, we'll be all over her ass for sure. We did a Harry BBC thing the other day. We'll go back on the Harry stuff. I don't like to beat that stuff to death, but we did cover that BBC interview slightly, a little bit. It wasn't a main topic. We did a little bit on it the other day. I just feel bad. I hope those two could put. I feel like Harry just wants to just hug his dad. The guy just wants to hug his fucking dad again, and because of his wife, he can't. You know what I mean? It just sucks. It really, really sucks. I feel like we're forgetting something here. I just don't know what it is. Anyway, the music is playing. There's no way to stop it. I mean, there is a pause button, but it's not going to do it. It's not going to do the trick. It's not going to do the trick. I didn't check Discord, and now I feel like you guys are talking about me behind my back. What happened? What was on the Discord?
Show me potato salad.
Oh, no, I ran out of show. Oh, somebody tell me quick.
Maybe we should go now.
Go ahead.